From the last podcast that we've done up until now, I want to know the improvements you made to be in the position as you are right now. So when that bit in your head clicked to say, okay, I want to do more, I'm more hungry. What was it that you put in place and any new habits that you picked up on to be here?
So from that period to now, I'd say the biggest change has been social media has been a massive proponent of it. And I will say, I think up until maybe a year and a half ago, I really thought, okay, you could build social media, there's business and then there's social media, and those two things there's very few cases where the two things are interlinked. Now I've really started to see in the last year and a half that like anyone should build a personal brand, because there is a correlation to whatever it is that they're doing in their business. So obviously building the brand and taking the brand seriously, because back then, like whatever you said had 170,000 subscribers, but we weren't taking it seriously. Like I remember telling the content team, well, I say the content team, there was one person on the content team at that point, or maybe two maximum. I was like, yeah, this is like the least profitable department in the company, because I was like, I don't know if we're even making money from this. But as I started to take it more seriously and really grow the brand, obviously that helped the rising tide of the businesses. And the thing that I've done very well is I've built my businesses synergistically. So I don't get into business unless I know I have a competitive advantage, and unless I know that it's something that I can use my audience to help funnel revenue for that company. Or for example, let's say for example, my e-learning platform. I have my e-learning platform, but then I'll be honest, the real moneymaker is on the back end. Most of the softwares that we promote, I either am an investor in, part owner in, or I own outright fully. So I view that as synergistic. If I was to go ahead and start and create new businesses that then have nothing to do, or I have no competitive advantage in, and I do, for example, even the business earlier today, or there was a business yesterday, those are businesses I invest in, right? But they're existing businesses because I don't want to get them off the ground. Yeah. Because I have no competitive advantage in that industry. Yep. So, it's no help. So definitely building a personal brand has helped propel that massive growth. Yeah, I mean, you've gone from 170K to, I think it's 4.9 or 5 mil at the time of this recording. Something like that. In the space of 3 years, bro, that's mental, bro. So hats off to you and the team who have put that in place. I appreciate it. That's insane, bro. No, I mean, I think we were still in April of 2022. I think we were still at like basically 2 years ago, we were at 250K or something. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say it was not different type of content, but I feel like now when I watch your content, there's always a message behind it. Yeah. And there's always a lot of value that people can take away from it. I feel like back then, whilst there was value in, there's things for people to take away from, I feel like now it's just scaled the same sort of thing, but 100x basically. I think the main difference is, and just to close the loop on the question you had beforehand, personal brand, the other thing, main thing has honestly just been managing a team. Like I didn't go to business school. I have no experience in any businesses previously. I've never worked in organizations. There was so many things I had to learn: legal, HR, accounting, finance, managing teams, and managing departments, and nurturing department leads. And there's just so many things that I had to learn over time about actually having a real company. Because not to say that I didn't have a real company back then, but it was just kind of like 5 employees, 6 employees, whatever it was, depending on the year, and a small very lean cash flow online businesses. Yeah, but you've been doing it from your teenage years, bro. I know, but that's not a real company. That's not a real department. But my point being is that you've never worked in another company or external company. Correct. For you to learn those things. It's not like you've got a job at one of the biggest firms in London in HR or in accounting or anything to know exactly how the operation is. You've had to learn everything hands-on within your own businesses. Correct. This is correct. But that was one of my biggest learning curves, and that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn. One of the biggest things I had to learn was also how to step away, and like how to really see potential in people and understand who is an operator there's certain people that are operators, there's certain people that are thinkers, and I'll be honest, there's certain people that are very good at thinking, but sometimes you don't want a thinker in that position in the company. Like I've even learned that in some of my companies where I've hired a person that is very visionary like me, or forward thinking. We're going to do this is the 2-year game plan. We're going to execute this at the ball at this point. And us two together, it just doesn't work. Even though they're the CEO and, you know, I'm the founder, so I'm not day-to-day running the business, it just simply doesn't work. I need a person who's more like a COO who just comes in and actually operates the business. So I'd say that's probably, with the personal brand, that's probably the other massive thing that helped contribute to that. On your point of the YouTube and I guess my personal brand and more valuable, I wouldn't necessarily say I made it more valuable. I would say it was more thoughtful. And the one thing that I will say is online, I definitely dumbed myself down. That's the truth. Online, I've learned to make my points more cohesive. I've learned to not talk about 95% of my life or the real actual behind the scenes business things that go on. You know, it's funny. I saw this whole, I feel like sometimes there's this perception of me online that I just make content. I genuinely spend 2-3 hours a month creating content. I run my fucking business. I run every single one of my businesses, and I've tried the whole put CEOs in place and blah, blah. And, you know, I guess for some of my companies where I have business partners, that works. But like for the businesses that I personally started, no one knows the business as well as I know the business.
Yeah. And do you not think you could train someone to know the business as well as you know the business?
I think there's certain businesses I have where we're following a playbook. For example, I'll give you an example of my software company. With my main software company, Flowzy, there's not many people who we can follow their playbook, in the sense of like, one of our competitors has had $475 million in funding. We've had 0. So they're playing a very different game. Like they can acquire customers at a loss. We can't acquire customers at a loss. They have hundreds of millions of dollars to put into development. We had to self-fund the full thing. So it's if I take this CEO of a $3.2 billion company, you may be a good CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, but your knowledge is absolutely like
it's not applying to our company.
It's not applicable to the way that we've had to build our company up.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing that you know, you have to bear in mind is you can find CEOs, but they just need to have kind of walked the path that you're trying to walk. And for some of these businesses, because as you know, the digital landscape has evolved so much in 10 years, there's businesses that have sprouted up that are still relatively new. For example, like the e-learning platform, it is a relatively new industry. You know, we've got people that I look at, like people like Masterclass, who are, you know, technically competitors of ours. They're worth from what I remember, $2.7 billion, revenues of $94 million, not profitable. They make 0 money. They lose money.
Really?
So, yeah. So, and the reason they have a 27x multiple is a lot of it's to do with the IP rights that they have with the people that that come on to teach, whatever. I guess that's a whole separate discussion. But the point is, their playbook, I can't follow their playbook because I didn't get X amount of funding to then build the company to acquire customers at a loss.
Yeah.
So yeah, are they technically in the same industry? For sure, but it's a different playbook.
It's a whole different game.
So it depends. Different companies, different things.
Yeah. On the last podcast, this is just a random point that I thought of. There was because I was listening to it on the plane on the way here, funny enough. You said that you need to be more grateful for things. And in the 3 years, how's that been for you? Have you learned to be more grateful for things around you, or what's it like? I'm going to tell you my perspective while you're thinking about it. I feel like sitting here, you have.
Interesting. I find it more difficult now to be grateful.